Hey guys, it's Steph. I'm on TV outside my house, or YouTube outside my house. This is the Cantina, so you know the rules. If you've been here a while enough, you know that, you know, uh, we don't tolerate any Disney Raylo shit. Anyway, and there's Mr. Bojack chewing on a stick. So he wanted to come in and say hi. Kojak, Kojak, Kojak. So it's a beautiful day, so I thought I'd be out here to talk about what I'm going to talk about. So Regal theaters are closing again, and they don't know when they're going to open up. They don't know if they're going to open up. And been talking to some more people who've got actual experience in the film industry, and Hollywood has had a love-hate relationship with the theaters, paying them box office take, whatever. Hey, buddy, come here, come here, come. You know, it's just been, it's one of those things. So, do they care? Well, an industry that's built on the faulty premise that a $200 million weekend, opening weekend, makes a movie a success, is doomed to failure. You know, but I'm going to say this. Part of Regal's closing, because people don't want to go to the movies, is the COVID fear porn. Okay, I went to The Empire Strikes Back a couple of, you know, weeks ago, and I was fine. I mean, I don't see any problems. I didn't like the fact we had to wear masks. That's stupid. There's nothing more filthy and disgusting than a mask over one's face. It's just, I mean, you know, and the people that are pushing it are just, they're trying to make you afraid. Okay, so if you have a brain, common sense, and want to make your own decisions, tell them to fuck off. Okay, but I really think that's gonna happen. But anyway, what else? So no, I mean I think that the theaters could be open, but I think the fear porn that's been pushed by the MSN and certain government officials, Gavin Newsom, has really, yeah, Austin, you're right. You know, but I really think it's hurt theater attendance. Weirdly enough, there were at least, I would say, 20 people at the theater watching The Empire Strikes Back. Okay. Second of all, though, it's not just COVID keeping people away. It's the fact that Hollywood makes shitty movies. Okay. Hey, Pocket. You know, and this has been a long time coming. If you look at the falling box office throughout the last 20 years, Hollywood's had good years, but they've been few and far between. Mostly, it's been pretty bad. I know they did. You know, what are they gonna do? Show it at the mom and pops? You know, I would say if Regal wants to close, fine. Cinemark obviously is not. You know, but they're being halfway sort of commonsensical here. Also, please hit the like button and sub if you haven't. The more subs I have, the more I reach. But anyway, you know, so I think it's twofold. But I'm going to tell you this. Honestly, I think this has been a long time coming. I think Hollywood has put itself in a position embracing hardcore leftists. Here's an example. Do you remember back in the mid 90s? Save Tibet. Remember? All right. Richard Gere was involved. Harrison Ford's now ex-wife sadly passed away, I think, in 2012. Melissa Matheson was leading the charge to free Tibet. The Dalai Lama was, I think, boarded at everybody's house in Brentwood and Beverly Hills. They were on the mark to go after Red China. Suddenly, Red China becomes the de facto default button for money they're not getting here. Think about that. They embraced something they knew was bad because they were failing at the box office here, instead of going, maybe if we actually made movies people liked, we could actually get them to come to our movies. Okay, that's what happened. Okay, and what's really weird is they're going after the Russians, but when Russia opened up, they were very happy to embrace the Russians. In fact, the movie Air Force One, it's about the president's plane being shot down by nationalists, Russian nationalists, and it's about helping the Russians. It's about what was going on in the 90s. It was, let's put it this way, Air Force One, as fun a movie it is, it's not a timeless movie. It's not one of those timeless movies, and there are timeless movies and there are movies that aren't. 7 Years in Tibet, actually, I look at as being a very timeless movie. Because now guess what their former villain of all villains is doing? They're throwing Tibetans into camps next door to the Uyghurs. Okay, so that's Hollywood's problem. They embraced the evil they said they hated for Chinese cheddar, as Neon at Clownfish TV said, and they started to pay for it. They started to change how they do business. They started hiring a lot of left-wing, loud left-wing, angry anti-American individuals, red diaper babies like Pablo Hidalgo. Not that red diaper babies are rare in Hollywood. Sean Penn, his father was actually on the Hollywood blacklist in the 40s and 50s. This is why Sean Penn is such a virulent anti-capitalist, even though everything he has in his life is built on capitalism. These guys, these very wealthy people who are anti-capitalist, are simply wealthy people, elitists. Archbishop Fulton Sheen talked about him in one of his TV lectures, and the elitists existed in the way they do now back in the mid-60s, okay? They're now named Bill Clinton. They're now named George Soros, okay? They were young and dumb back then. Now they're old and evil now. But, these are the people that are running Hollywood. These are the people that are running our media. And they basically sacrificed and became hypocrites for the money because we were starting to leave the box office. And this American exodus from the box office doesn't have anything to do with technology. I will always say, and I think everybody who is a film person will agree with me. I know Lee Scott would, and Peter Eaton, and Dan Watanabe. There's no better experience to have than to go to a movie at a theater. Okay, there just isn't. And that is the thing that I will not. I hate seeing go. Oh, I know, Austin, but look at the people. And what it has to do is they embrace this socialist. I call it fascist because fascism is a type of socialism. They embrace this fascism because they don't want us. They don't want to share it with you or me. Okay, if tomorrow, let's say like Rudy and I owned stocks in a company, and the stocks were split, and we suddenly became billionaires. Trust me, we would not be at the end table. Okay, we would not be at the end table because we don't. We're not like them. If you're, we're nouveau riche. We'd be nouveau riche. Uh, you know, we're not secular people. Uh, there's a higher, their idea of spiritualism is new age, funky shit. You know, it's not even really. I mean, it's not even Buddhism. Uh, and what's really weird is these people who practice Buddhism and whatever in Hollywood are less moral than their friends who go into Scientology. Think about that. If you follow Kirstie Alley on Twitter like I do, you will see her rip these assholes apart. I mean, the woman doesn't live in California anymore, as far as I'm concerned. She should still be making movies. They're not going to hire her now. She supports Trump. But weirdly enough, a lot of the people that actually follow Scientology do. All right, which is the fakest thing on the planet. But still, you kind of go, so who's the phony here? Who's the hypocrite? Is it the fake Buddhist or the Scientologist? All right, and that's the problem. But again, when I think about, the way Richard Gere's been treated by Hollywood since China started making big moves for the box office. Oh, I know. I really think that COVID has pantsed them. COVID came out, pulled down their pants, and there's nothing there. I mean, the emperor has no clothes. This is, they've shown they are not above selling anybody out for Kwan. Fine, but it's driving people away from going to movies. It's driving people away from pro sports. I haven't seen an NFL game in, I think, was it 3 years since Colin, I hate my white parents, Kaepernick, um, you know, started kneeling on the stadium ground because cops were mean to somebody somewhere. I haven't. I hate basketball. I always have. I was stupid sport. Um, Major League Baseball is a disappointment. Uh, you got lefties in pro sports, lefties driving the culture in at movies and music, and of course, they've been in the universities forever. I mean, even since before I went to college, and that was the late '80s, early '90s. Okay, but back then, we were taught to think critically, and I had no problem grabbing grabbing the professor by the arm and saying "fuck off" at the end of a lecture, or explaining to them why they were wrong. One of my German language professors trying to explain to everybody that Hitler really was pro-gun. For whom? For whom? He took them away from the Jews. He took them away from political opponents. Yeah, that's what. But so it was easy for him to make up a story like that so he could throw people who are law-abiding citizens, who are members of the National Rifle Association, into the Nazi pile. It's first off, it's ignorant. Second of all, it's a big fucking lie, and it's historical revisionism. And I told him that. He was pissed. I was like, I don't care. Don't lie to people. You know you're full of shit. And the kids are all looking at me like this. That was after I got sick, and it was after I kind of realized, oh yeah, we're part of Gun Owners of America too. It was after I kind of realized that I could actually tell these people off. Now, I didn't get A's in classes I should have, but I did a good enough job to get B's. Okay, They couldn't. The only teacher that really fucked with me was this professor, and I'm sure she's still there, at the University of Wisconsin La Crosse, named Deborah Buffton, who taught French history and Chinese history, and she was waxing rhapsodic about the Cultural Revolution, and I dropped the hammer on her. And she basically tried to throw me out of her class, and I embarrassed her in front of all those kids. And I was sitting down in the common area in what they used to call North Hall, drinking a soda, a Diet Coke, and a couple of the kids walked up to me and said, "You kicked her ass." I was like, she deserved it. That red-haired, hippie harpy, nasty fucking bitch deserved it. There are hippies like Jim Morrison, and there are hippies like my brother Bill, and then there are the ones that came after, who feel like they took over the movement and just, you know, turned it into, you know, Bill Clinton is one of them. Bill Clinton and Hillary are one of the bad kind. The first ones that showed up, you know, they were libertarians. I can deal with that. I can't deal with a hardcore leftist freak. It's like, how do you, you know, protest the beginning of the Iraq War in 2003 and protest a Mideast peace deal in 2020? Same people. It's A, the person who put it together. It's B, suddenly the Iraq War became about Barack Obama. And C, it's because none of their people, including the Bushes, could ever get accomplished what's been accomplished in 3 years. All right? That's it. So, anyway, but yeah, and I'm going to say this. Honestly, I think Regal, if the theaters go away, and I don't think they'll go away entirely, I think what's going to happen is either the studios themselves will start buying theaters, which then makes me go, monopoly? Much? Or other people will buy them, and there will be a different kind of business model. So they won't go away entirely, because once this COVID thing will go, and it will go away, this too shall pass. What are you doing, you little weirdo? Why don't you guys see this? He's just, yeah, quit biting the leash. See, he's psychotic right now. Anyway, but like I said, this too shall pass, and I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a different kind of business model coming out of COVID. I think Cinemark will likely live. You know, I hope AMC does, even though they're owned by the Chinese. I have a feeling somebody else may buy them, hopefully an American company. And if Regal closes, maybe they'll be. Why don't I think, or do I think? Because I've never heard about them actually helping theaters. You know, I don't know why. You know, I think it's, I got paid, fuck you. And I'm going to tell you something. When there's a movie coming out, and everybody in Hollywood does it, even the people that we like, they set up their contracts so no matter what happens, they get paid. Which I think kind of sucks. Because, honestly, if, you know, you're going to make a movie, and let's say, like, Harvey Weinstein is still producing, and you get Jane Fonda into it, and, you know, you name a couple other hardcore lefties, and their pay is dependent on the movie doing well, what kind of movies do you think you'd have? Think about that. Think about it. All right? I've seen actors get a share of the box office. Tom Cruise does that. Harrison Ford has done that. Sylvester Stallone has done that. But, you know, I think that if their pay was dependent on what people were willing to do when the movie came out. Were they going to go see it or not? Were they going to spend $10 a ticket or not? I think that would change a lot of how Hollywood does their business. And I'm going to tell you something. I honestly think that could be the way they go. Now, a lot of the big stars won't do that, but, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to be brutally honest. Indiana Jones 5 isn't going to happen, and I'm sad it's not for Harrison, but I'm glad it's not too, because frankly, the attitude from the Phantom Menace is getting kind of ageist. And it pisses me off because that was one of the things that pissed me off about the SJWs, about Mark and Harry and Carrie, and Billy D. You know, part of that pisses me off, but it also kind of makes me go, because I would hate to see that movie, which could be good. What if it wasn't woke? What if it was an Indiana Jones movie? I would hate to see that movie bomb because people didn't want to see it because they thought it was going to be woke. Or they were pissed off at Hollywood for a real slight or a conspiracy they had. Like the bullshit surrounding Steven Spielberg. I've talked about it before. But I really think the people that spew that stuff, yeah, they should. But I really think the people that spew that shit are people that, you know, really just, I mean, I get pissed. I mean, I lost my point, but anyway, it's a really beautiful day today. You know, it really, really is, and I'm quite loving this weather. I could be on a deer stand with a crossbow right now if I wanted to be. We don't have any land to hunt here. You know, if we had 10 acres, I would be. I'd be, you know, I would be in a deer blind, just not with this silly thing. He is so busy. But he had a good walk today. He really, really did. So, let's see. Friday, he's got his doctor's appointment with his doc, and he gets his last distemper shot and his rabies shot, so he'll get licensed, and then he's going to get a bath. He's going to the groomer, and he's getting a bath. So, next week, I'll take him over to PetSmart and say, make him smell good. You know, not that he smells bad, he doesn't, but, you know, he's got some funk. But anyway, it's a gorgeous day. I should actually be with Kay. Yesterday I lunged her. Today I'm just going to give her kind of a day off from it. But tomorrow we'll be back at it again with her. I'll get him out early in the morning, and then before noon I'll be out at the barn and messing with her ungrateful ass. Uh-oh, there's the yellow jacket. Get off my dog. I may have to go to chase this thing away. Or he might get eaten. I mean, well, dipshit could eat him. Of course, then he gets stung, and I'd be taking him to the emergency vet. But anyway, it's just been an interesting week. How do I think how COVID's going to go? Well, everyone's freaked out at the president for taking off his mask. I say it basically showed everybody that you don't have to be afraid of COVID. I'm not. Healthcare professionals I know, I just saw my doctor today. She was like, you know, they're getting tired of it. They can't see their patients the way they want to. They can't diagnose their patients the way they want to. So it's, you know, whatever. So anyway, I'm going to finish my little walk around the yard. We have an acre, so I'm going to walk the acre with the idiot. And then, you know, go back inside and maybe take a shower and start dinner. Anyway, I want to stop by and talk a little bit about Regal Cinema. and what's going on. Hopefully they won't close because the movie theater I go to is Regal, and it's a real nice one. And I also gotta tell you, if I was a Hollywood mogul, I'd be looking at picking up a theater chain. Like, if James Woods was as rich as George Soros, I'd be looking at picking it up. You imagine the damage that James Woods could do to the woke folk if he owned a theater chain. All right, so anyway, this is Steph. Kind of wanted to throw my 2 cents in, and his doggesty is, I don't know. Hey, Kojak. Hey, Dingbat, look at me, come here. So you wanted to come and say hi too. Here he comes. So he's laying by me. So anyway, I gotta go, and I'll talk to y'all later.